Tonight we'll walk slowly through Rome at night, and you don't need to picture it perfectly and you don't need to hold any details at all, because this is only a calm sequence of night routines and gentle micro scenes. And if you find this kind of quiet helpful, you're warmly invited to subscribe so these slow nights can meet you again. And you can let your eyes grow heavy now, you can let your thoughts loosen, you can let the day fall away, because there is nothing to follow here and nothing to do, only the steady softness of a city settling down and the simple feeling of being allowed to drift. The last warmth of daylight still lives inside the stone for a while, and it rests there quietly the way warmth rests inside a brick after a fire has been turned low, and the streets feel calmer not because anything dramatic has changed but because everything has become slower and smaller and more personal, and a narrow street between tall walls holds a ribbon of darkness with a thin line of lamplight spilling out beneath a doorway and stretching across worn paving stones like a soft shape laid down gently, and the light does not demand attention and the shadows do not threaten anything. They simply exist together in a familiar balance, and somewhere above a wooden shutter closes with a muffled tap that sounds careful rather than loud, careful rather than hurried, and the sound fades quickly into the night the way a breath fades when you stop paying attention to it. A pair of sandals moves across stone in an easy unhurried pace, and the sound of the steps is muted, softened by the hour and softened by the quiet, and even when the footsteps pass close by they feel distant, like something happening in another room while you remain safely still. And when the footsteps are gone the street becomes even quieter than before, as if the night has gently filled the space they left behind. A small oil lamp beside a doorway glows in a steady warm circle, and the flame is small and patient, and its light makes the wall look softer than it does in the day, and the wall returns the favor by holding the light in place, by cradling it in shadow, by keeping it from feeling exposed. In a hidden courtyard where the street cannot see, a basin of water reflects a trembling circle of lamplight, and the water responds to the smallest movement as though it has nothing else to do, and a jug dips into the basin and rises again with a quiet wet sound, and water pours into clay cups with a gentle rhythm that feels like a routine repeated 1,000 times, repeated without thought, repeated until it becomes a kind of comfort, and when the pouring stops the courtyard returns to stillness, and the remaining ripples settle slowly as if the water itself is becoming sleepy. A door closes softly, not slammed, not pushed, simply drawn in with care until wood meets wood and the latch rests in place, and you can almost feel the relief that comes with closing the world out, with closing the street out, with choosing rest. Inside, a table holds the faint scent of olive oil and herbs, and a cloth lies folded where it was placed earlier, and clay cups remain where they were set down, and nothing looks abandoned or messy. It looks like a day that ended normally, like a day that ended gently, like a day that ended the way days should end when there is no need to perform anything for anyone. A lamp is turned down until its flame becomes smaller and smaller, and the edges of the room blur into shadow, and the corners become soft, and the ceiling disappears into darkness, and the room becomes a warm quiet pocket where breathing is the loudest sound. Outside again, a covered walkway holds long overlapping shadows cast by columns, and the stone beneath feels smooth from countless ordinary steps, and the air under the roof feels slightly cooler, slightly calmer, and the sound of the city changes there, becoming more hollow and more distant, as if the night is already deepening. A faint breeze slides along the corridor and barely touches the edge of a hanging cloth, and the cloth shifts a little and then settles, and the movement is so slow and so simple that it feels soothing just to imagine it. A market square rests empty now, and wooden stalls sit quiet beneath folded cloths and tied ropes, and the day's noise is gone, and what remains is the shape of quiet labor put away, and a lantern left burning by a careful hand casts a warm golden patch onto the stones that stretches and softens as the flame sways, and the light seems to breathe, expanding and shrinking, and the longer you listen the more that slow breathing of light becomes a gentle rhythm you can sink into. A basket rests on its side near a stall, and a few strands of straw extend out across the ground, and they do not move at all, and the stillness feels complete, like a pause held kindly. A cat moves through the shadow between stalls, silent and unbothered, and its paws make no sound, and it slips beneath a bench and disappears as though it was never there, and the square remains exactly as it was, quiet, dim, settled. The night does not rush, and the night does not push, and the night does not demand that anything happen quickly. Near a gate a watchman sits or stands in a simple posture that suggests patience more than alertness, and his staff taps lightly against the stone in a steady rhythm, not harsh, not sharp, just a gentle reminder that someone is awake while others rest, and the tapping fades as he walks away, and when it fades the silence grows thicker and more comfortable, like a blanket pulled up a little higher. A soldier leans a spear against a wall and lowers himself onto a bench, placing a helmet beside him with quiet care, and the metal catches a small line of lamplight and then loses it again as the flame shifts, and the soldier's breathing becomes slower, and his shoulders relax, and the city continues to dim. A public bath stands mostly dark now, and the entrance holds two low flames that sway lazily in their holders, and inside the stone floors remember warmth even when the water is gone, and the air inside holds a faint trace of steam and oil and soap, and the memory of conversation seems to linger without needing to be heard, and the last sound is a door drawn closed, a final step, a quiet echo, and then nothing but stillness. Stone holds warmth for a while and then lets it go slowly, and the letting go is part of the night routine too, the same way you let go of the day, the same way you let go of your thoughts, the same way you let go of the need to pay attention. A fountain continues to run as it always does, water moving steadily through stone with an endless gentle trickle, and the sound is soothing because it does not change, and it does not surprise, and it does not ask anything of you, and it becomes a kind of background breathing for the city, a quiet constant that makes everything else feel even calmer. The water catches lamplight in small trembling highlights that appear and disappear, and the movement is small and repetitive, and repetition is comforting, and predictability is comforting, and the night is full of predictable gentle repeats. A narrow alley holds a hanging oil lamp that sways slightly from a thin cord, and the light traces slow arcs along the wall, and the arcs are so gentle they feel like a lullaby made of light, and the shadows slide and return, and the entire alley seems to rock itself into sleep. In a doorway, a curtain lifts and falls with a faint breeze as if the house is breathing, and the breathing is slow and even, and the motion continues without anyone watching, without anyone needing to care. In an upper room overlooking the street, someone rolls a woven mat aside and folds cloth and adjusts a cushion and places a lamp within reach, and the motions are quiet and routine, and the routine is the point, and the routine is what makes the night feel safe, because familiar actions tell the body it is time to rest, and familiar actions tell the mind it can stop scanning and stop planning and stop replaying. A small bowl is set down on a table with deliberate care, and the soft contact of wood and clay is one of those tiny sounds that feels louder at night only because everything else has softened, and then the room becomes still again, and the stillness holds. Across a shared space, quiet voices murmur briefly and then fade, and the sound is not loud enough to understand, and it does not need to be understood, because it is only the shape of comfort, the shape of closeness, the shape of people winding down, and then silence returns, and it returns gently, and it returns completely. A bed creaks once, linen rustles once, and then the body settles, and the room settles, and the night continues. A stairwell smells faintly of oil and dust, and the air there does not move at all, and the steps wait in the dark, and you can imagine the last person climbing them earlier with a tired steady pace, one step, then another, until a door was closed softly at the top, and now the stairwell rests, and the darkness rests, and the entire vertical space feels like it has been put away for the night. On rooftops clay tiles release the last warmth of the day into the cool air, and the release is slow, and the warmth drifts upward in gentle currents, and a faint breeze carries it away, and the city below becomes less defined, more shadowed, more quiet, and the shapes of buildings become simple silhouettes, and the distance becomes a soft blur. A rooftop garden holds pots of herbs arranged neatly, and the leaves barely stir, barely whisper, and the whisper is so soft it almost does not exist, and the scent of plants mixes with the scent of warm stone, and the combination feels calm, like something familiar and grounded. A baker's oven is dark now, but it holds a faint inner glow deep within, like a memory of fire, rather than fire itself, and the scent of bread lingers in the doorway, and the scent feels comforting because it suggests routine and morning and continuity is calming, and the night becomes easier when you feel that morning will come without you needing to chase it. Wooden paddles rest against a wall, and sacks are tied closed, and everything is left ready in the quiet way people leave things ready when they trust the next day to arrive. In a storage room clay jars stand in neat rows, and the rounded surfaces catch thin lines of lamplight and return them as soft curved highlights, and the jars look patient, and the room looks patient, and patience is one of the night's main qualities. A woven basket sits on the floor, and a rope coil lies beside it, and neither moves, and the stillness is not empty, it is full of rest. Along another street, a small shrine at a corner holds a single candle that burns steadily before a carved figure, and wax gathers slowly at the base, and the candle's flame does not flicker much, and that steadiness feels like reassurance, and the shrine exists quietly, like a small island of light in a sea of shadow, and you can pass it without stopping and still feel its calm presence, still feel the gentle warmth of its glow. Under an archway, the road beyond looks darker because lamplight does not reach through fully, and the deeper shadow is not frightening. It is simply more restful, more private, more removed, and the arch frames that quiet darkness as if presenting it gently, as if offering it as a place where the mind can stop reaching and stop searching. The stone under the arch feels cooler, and the air feels slightly damp, and the sound of a distant step echoes once and then disappears. A cart stands parked against a wall, wheels angled slightly as if paused mid-turn, and ropes hang loose and relaxed, and the cart looks like a body at rest, like something that worked all day and now has permission to be still, and the permission feels contagious, and it spreads into the listener, and it spreads into you. Nearby, a wooden broom leans against a door, bristles touching the ground, ready for morning, and the readiness is calm because it is simple, because it is quiet preparedness rather than anxious preparation. A courtyard garden holds the faint scent of herbs rising from soil that still keeps a bit of the day's heat below the surface, and leaves brush against one another with a barely audible sound, and the sound is like a whisper you do not need to interpret, and the whisper continues and then stops, following the breeze's slow choices. The night air feels cleaner now, cooler now, and the body feels heavier in a pleasant way, because cooler air often invites sleep, and the city's cooling invites sleep too. In an upper room, a small lamp is turned down again until its flame becomes a tiny patient ember, and the light shrinks into a small circle near the wall, and the circle of light feels like a safe island, while everything beyond it becomes a soft comfortable darkness. A hand pulls a blanket higher, and the blanket makes a quiet brushing sound against linen, and the sound is brief and then the room returns to stillness. Breathing deepens, and breathing slows, and the world becomes less important. Down below, a narrow street holds the quiet remains of the day, not as chaos but as settled shapes, as a closed door, as a folded cloth, as a cup on a sill, as sandals placed neatly beside a threshold, and these small shapes matter because they are routine, because they are gentle evidence of ordinary life continuing without drama, continuing without urgency. A clay cup on a windowsill catches a small pool of lamplight and reflects it faintly, and the light looks warm and friendly, and the cup sits there without any need to be used, just resting. The watchman returns somewhere far off, staff tapping lightly again, and the taps arrive like soft pulses, like gentle markers in time, and then they fade, and the silence deepens. A distant door closes, and the sound is softened by the distance, and the closing feels like another small signal that the city is turning inward, closing itself gently, folding itself into rest. The fountain continues to trickle, steady and unchanged, and the sound becomes easier to ignore, and ignoring it is part of drifting, and drifting is allowed. A breeze passes through a hanging curtain again, lifting it and letting it fall, lifting it and letting it fall, and the movement is slow, and the repetition is soothing, and you can let your attention rest on it for a moment and then let it go, because nothing needs to be held. A covered walkway holds darkness between columns, and the darkness looks smooth and quiet, and the floor beneath looks cool, and the air feels still. A small lamp at the end of the corridor casts a weak glow that does not reach far, and the limited reach of the light is comforting because it makes the world smaller, and a smaller world is easier to rest inside, and the night often helps by shrinking things down. A kitchen holds jars and bowls and a low table, and the faint scent of earlier food remains like a quiet memory, and a cloth lies folded neatly, and the room looks finished, closed, done for the night. A wooden spoon rests on the table, and it will be there in the morning, and it does not need guarding, and it does not need worry, and the simplicity is calming. In a room above, someone shifts once in sleep, and linen rustles once, and then the body settles again, and the sound ends, and the night continues with no interruption. The city is full of these tiny sounds that appear briefly and then disappear, brief and then gone, and each one is soft, and each one is harmless, and each one fades. The rooftops remain warm for a while and then cool, and the cooling is gradual, and the gradualness is part of what makes the night feel gentle, because gentle changes are easier for the mind to accept than sudden changes. The sky above is not a focus, it is simply present, and the city below is the main feeling, the main weight, the main calm. A small shrine candle continues to burn, and the flame holds steady, and wax gathers, and time passes quietly. A basket of straw remains still, and the strands do not move. A parked cart remains still. A closed door remains closed. A turned down lamp remains low. A sleeping room remains dark. Everything is in its place, and being in place is restful. And as Rome continues these small ordinary night routines without effort and without urgency, as light stays low and warm and shadows stay deep and soft, as footsteps come and go and then leave silence behind, as water continues its gentle trickle and curtains continue their slow breathing motion, you can follow the same rhythm without trying, you can loosen your grip on the day without forcing it, you can let your thoughts drift the way lamplight drifts along a wall, slow and small and steady, until there is nothing left to notice and nothing left to hold on to and nothing left to do but rest, and drift comfortably into sleep. And as the night in Rome continues without needing to announce itself, with lamps kept low and doors kept closed and the quiet shapes of ordinary life resting exactly where they were left, you can allow that same gentle stillness to remain with you for a little longer, letting your breathing stay slow and even, letting your thoughts grow softer and less defined, and knowing there is nothing you need to return to right now and nothing waiting for you beyond this calm, because the city will remain here in its quiet rhythm, and you can remain here in yours, drifting a little deeper, resting a little more fully, until sleep arrives in the most natural and unhurried way.